Thank you for your interest in the Georgia Mountains Regional Commission Transit Development Plan. This presentation, this recording, is intended to give the community members an update on the Transit Development Plan process and where we are as we head into recommendations and development of the final Transit Development Plan document in late 2022. I am Amanda Hatton with Blue Cypress Consulting. I am the project manager on the consultant side. Today, you're going to hear two other voices of our project team, Lauren Leary with Spatial Plans. She's our technical lead, and Ansley Jones, our community planner working on the project, who has done much of the technical work. With that, I will move us forward. So you may be wondering, what is a transit development plan and why is the Georgia Mountains region completing one? The Transit Development Plan is meant to be a regional effort for the Georgia Mountains Regional Commission. This includes the 12 counties in Northeast Georgia that you are seeing on the map to the right. Within the Transit Development Plan, there are a series of different deliverables that we are producing to get us to a set of recommendations and a vision and a plan to move joint regional transit goals forward in the long term, and with a focus on what we're going to do in the next 5 years. So within that plan, there is public engagement. We have set vision and goals, which you'll hear Lauren speak to a little bit later. We have done a full analysis of the existing transportation system and transit conditions and socioeconomic factors that affect that. We are currently in the phase that's focused there in red, the needs assessment analysis, as well as the alternatives development, as we finish up in late 2022, which is part of the reason we're here giving this presentation for you all, is to develop recommendations and a financial plan and the final plan document to advance the vision forward. So why are we, to expand on that, why are we carrying out the Transit Development Plan? It does provide for an opportunity to collaborate across the different jurisdictions in the region currently. As we'll speak to a little later, the counties within the region each either have their own transit system or do not have one at all. And so we're looking at how can we work together moving forward to pool resources and staff. Where can we work collaboratively and do we align, and what are the top priorities? At the end of the day, we are really looking to help implement the statewide transit plan and vision. Part of the state of Georgia's vision is that every county and community in the state of Georgia has access to a transit system. And so that is also a key part of why we are carrying this out. On the screen right now, you're seeing the project schedule. We began work on this planning effort in early 2022. Some of you may have participated in a first round of public input back in May. We had an in-person meeting in Habersham County, as well as had a survey that was live for a little over a month. We are now in September, where we are talking to you about alternatives, collecting final input, as we look to finalize the plan in January of this year. There will be a period for public comment of 30 days once the plan is drafted before it is considered for adoption. We did want to acknowledge that we have collected a good amount of community and stakeholder input to date. One of the key aspects of our outreach is our Project Advisory Committee. This committee is made up of representatives from the different counties within the region. Most of those folks are related or working in transit implementation and transit policy. We do also have some members that represent the Department of Human Services, the Georgia Department of Community Health that serve on that committee, as well as members of the Georgia Department of Transportation. So we have had 2 meetings to date, which you're seeing highlighted on the screen. Some of the key items that we've heard coming out of these meetings is support for a system that runs cost effectively, one that centralizes resources, that there's a real opportunity to look at economies of scale and where we can bring resources together. We want to operate efficiently from county to county. We want to serve the community well. And lastly, if we need to make sure we have sufficient funding to advance the regional transit goals. We did carry out 16 stakeholder interviews early on back in that spring input period. We talked with representatives from the GMRC member counties. We talked with some major employers and also some nonprofit organizations that serve what we would typically consider folks that may be transit dependent, lower income folks or seniors, other people that don't have access to a vehicle. And some of the things that we heard through these interviews is that there is a shortage of vehicle and ability to hire drivers within the region, which interferes with providing transit service. There's some funding complexity and administrative burden in terms of implementing the program through which the funding comes for local transit, and that there is more demand than current service can currently provide. We do also want to note that some of the stakeholders made a connection between not having more transit options potentially interfering with the ability of employers to bring in the workforce they need to maintain their operations. We did also hold a public meeting and a survey, as I mentioned earlier, back in May. One thing that came out of that is just acknowledgement that a lot of people weren't aware of the transit services that are offered in the region. People also commented on improvements they'd like to see. You're seeing those on the screen. One of the key ones, which we've highlighted in the graphic, is the ability to travel farther distances and connect to other transit systems was another key item there. You can see some of the other key responses of what people would like transit to provide. Community members are interested in using it for some key basic needs like medical, grocery, and travel to work. All of this work culminated in a vision and goals development for regional transit. I'm going to hand the speaking platform over to Lauren Leary to talk through the vision and goals.
Thank you, Amanda. I'm happy to be here with everyone today, and I'm going to start off by reviewing the vision and goals for the Transit Development Plan. So the project team studied state, regional, and county plans and also spoke with stakeholders and members of the community, as Amanda mentioned, in order to come up with a vision statement for the Georgia Mountains Regional Transit Plan. The vision statement is the following. I know you can see it on your screen, but I'm going to go ahead and read it as well. Transit service will provide intra-county and regional connections, offer a safe transportation option to access jobs and essential services, and will capitalize on available funding opportunities to generate economic growth and improve the quality of life for all who live and work in the Georgia Mountains region. Again, the words in bold in the vision statement are really the cornerstones of our transit vision. Next slide, please. The vision statement also aligns with the goals for the Transit Development Plan. The vision statement's key phrases are shown in gray, and the 4 goals are listed in the colored boxes. So again, we're really working on resource sharing and awareness building, connecting individuals to their essential services, coordination among the transit providers, and supporting workforce needs throughout the region. The technical team has also studied areas of the Georgia Mountains region that have a high propensity for transit ridership. Our analysis utilized U.S. Census American Community Survey data, including 7 groups of residents that have mobility challenges. These groups include individuals who do not own a vehicle, individuals with disabilities, seniors and youth, low income and minority residents, and individuals with limited English proficiency. In the map above, the darker census tracts are home to relatively higher transit need populations. Additionally, we have looked at the residential density in the Georgia Mountains region. Much of the region is rural or has a residential density that is less than six households per acre. This density supports demand response transit. There are a few areas in Gainesville that have higher residential densities. However, these areas, which are shown in blue and yellow, are not contiguous. They do not currently represent an area large enough to support a robust fixed route bus system. The project team is using our understanding of the transit needs in the Georgia Mountains region to develop alternatives for expanded service and higher ridership. We feel that there are individuals with mobility challenges located across the region, and we know that there are a significant number of seniors located in the northern counties. Additionally, our analysis shows that there is a higher demand for public transit than current rides available. Based on the Federal Transit Administration's methodologies, we have calculated a need for almost 250,000 additional transit trips. Now I'm going to turn the presentation over to Ansley Jones to discuss the transit alternatives that we have developed.
Thank you, Lauren. I'm excited to share the ideas that our team has developed for enhancing and expanding transit in the Georgia Mountains region. The alternatives that we're about to go over span 4 major categories. First, we're going to look at service areas that are covered by the existing transit services in the region and what kinds of improvements could be made in that realm. Next, we're going to identify some technology enhancements that could boost transit ridership. Then we'll look at the current schedules offered by the existing transit providers and think about some improvements there. And lastly, we'll look at the trip patterns relating to employment and suggest how commuter demand might be accommodated. I did want to note that the 2 other boxes shown on your screen, efficiency and cost effectiveness and fares, are other key topics that we will continue exploring through our planning process. And so the final transit development plan will also include alternatives that are under these topics. So let's start with a review of the current transit offerings. There are 12 counties in the Georgia Mountains region, 9 of which operate a public transit program. The counties shaded in green on this map operate traditional demand response rural transit, which is often through Dial-A-Ride. These programs are funded through the Federal Transit Administration's Section 5311 grant, which is administered by GDOT. Hall area transit is shown in pink because their system is a little bit of a different model, where transit rides are scheduled through a smartphone application, which is called WeGo. And Hall County also receives funding through a rural program and a small urbanized program through GDOT. Lastly, Gainesville operates a special events trolley at certain times of year. So there are 3 counties in the region that do not currently have any public transit: the Franklin, Stevens, and White County. And as Amanda mentioned earlier, one of GDOT's overarching goals is for every county in the state of Georgia to have a transit service. So that is our first alternative, is for those 3 counties that don't have public transit to seek funding from GDOT to start up their own programs. An alternative would be for a new regional system to be created that provides service to all 12 counties within the Georgia Mountains region. A regional transit system would help expand access to more destinations, and potentially efficiencies could be achieved for collaborating and administering the program at that regional scale. Our third alternative considers creating a more limited regional system that would service just the southern half of the region. Now, this idea stems from factors such as the mountainous terrain in the northern part of the region and due to the fact that there are a higher concentration of key destinations, such as places of employment in the southern half of the region. So next, let's look at where are the current service areas. There are 4 agencies that are currently operating that only service destinations within their county boundaries. Those are Habersham, Hall, Lumpkin, and Union counties. Next slide. And then there are 5 transit providers that provide trips to destinations outside of their county boundaries, which are shown here: Banks, Dawson, Hart, Raven, and Towns. And this also shows some of the destinations that are available to riders in those counties. So, as we talked about regionalization, that would help overcome a barrier that some riders face today when it comes to accessing places in different jurisdictions. However, that would be a very long-term solution. So in the meantime, some ideas shown here are ways that the existing transit providers could expand their services to meet the needs of their constituents in the nearer term. The pairings shown here are some counties where we observed that there are a high level of interjurisdictional trips already occurring, such as between Hall and White County. So it would make sense for Hall Area Transit to expand into White County. Next slide. Another barrier when it comes to riding transit is booking trips and paying fares in a convenient way. One initiative that GDOT is working on is implementing a new technology that allows customers to make reservations through a smartphone application. This program is called Let's Ride. The smartphone application is already available in some other parts of Georgia. So GDOT is hoping to get more rural transit providers to get set up and be able to take advantage of this technology. Now, while smartphone applications would be a game changer for transit, they could also have a downfall when it comes to serving the senior population who might not be used to navigating smartphone applications. One feature that could be implemented, though, is having a subscription option for recurring reservations, and an elderly individual could get assistance from friends or families with booking their recurring reservations in advance. So the next topic we're going to look at is the transit service schedules. As shown in this table, most of the transit options are starting around 7 or 8 a.m. and running until about 3 or 4 p.m. Hall County is the only exception to that, where their service starts at 6 a.m. and runs all the way until 9 p.m. And looking at best practices, we've found that a transit option that's available for 9 hours of the day is what's really needed to accommodate essential trips, such as employment on the morning and afternoon hours. Also addressing other types of trips, such as medical and grocery. So with that in mind, our first alternative is expand all hours of service for the transit providers from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Hall Area Transit, as we mentioned, already has greater service hours, but there's also significant demand for weekend service in Hall. So that could be another improvement that could be made, and that might potentially be a shorter service window, such as 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. The last bullet point you see here is for Hall Area Transit to evaluate transitioning to a 24-hour service, 24-hour, 7-day-a-week service, which might sound unrealistic, but there's actually already a transit system in Georgia that has this type of service. It's Wayne County, Georgia, which is in the coastal region of the state. So that would be a good example for Hall County to learn from. All right, so our last topic we're going to address is commuting demand within the region. So this map shown here highlights where the major employers are located around the region. As you can see, many are in the Gainesville area, but there are job centers in other cities around the region as well, such as Dahlonega, Cleveland, Cornelia, Blairsville, and Clayton. Next slide. And then, of course, commuting outside of the region is also a big part of this story. And from Hall County to Gwinnett County, there's a significant commuter demand of over 1,700 trips per day, which over a year would come out to over 500,000 trips. Our analysis also shows that there's a significant demand in the direction of Jackson County to Hall County, with over 600 trips per day or over 190,000 trips annually. And then a few other county pairs that we've identified for future analysis are Hall County into Forsyth County, Dawson to Forsyth, and Banks to Jackson County. So first, we're going to look at what are some ways to address the commuter demand within the region. So the alternatives shown here are two ideas. One would be for the Georgia Mountains Regional Commission to partner with an organization called Georgia Commute Options, which has been known to help implement van pools in other parts of the state. A second alternative is for large employers in the region to partner with Hall Area Transit in order to offer employer-specific shuttles. Now, these next two alternatives are focused on connecting commuters to other regions. Particularly, we're looking at the Atlanta region. The first idea here is for Hall Area Transit to provide shuttles in the morning and afternoon peak hours to service key destinations. So this could be delivering riders from a park and ride in Hall to a park and ride in Gwinnett and Forsyth counties. The second alternative is for the Atlanta Region Transit Link Authority, which you may have heard of, is called the ATL, for it to extend its express service from Gwinnett into Hall County. And this map shown here shows where the service of express currently ends. So we've reached the end of the alternatives that we're presenting today. Just to recap, we went over several ideas for expanding transit services, improving ridership, increasing hours of operations, and addressing commuter needs. This planning process is still underway, and we will continue evaluating what improvements can be made in these areas, as well as the topics of fares, efficiency, and cost effectiveness. So at this stage in the process, we're really interested in gaining public feedback and learning more about specific community needs. Our community survey is going to be posted on our project website, which the link is shown here, for the next 3 weeks. So we encourage you and your friends, neighbors, whoever, to please take our survey. Please help us get the word out.